Hey, I want to talk a little bit today about what's going on. We were just watching on the Pomp Best Business Show. He was interviewing Jack Mallers, the Strike CEO, who has recently developed that allows basically like the Lightning Network to work on Twitter, and people can instantly send tips worldwide. To me, like it didn't seem like that big of a piece of news initially, but after watching that, I definitely have like a lot more that I want to talk about on that. Erin was saying a lot of stuff that she was thinking about when watching the piece, so I'll kind of let her open up real quick and see if there's anything she wants to talk about that we were just taking notes on.
Okay, so one of the things that we wanted to start talking about, because this has a lot of relevance, I think, for a lot of people, but here's a primary example of how this could have been beneficial to us back in the day. We used to live in China, and we would send our money back. And at first, we sent our money back using the traditional system, Western Union, which is slow and very expensive. And in China, for us, it also created a situation where we had to take a large amount of our money, and we had to trust a person that was Chinese, give it to them at the bank, sign over all our money to them, and then they would send it using their account to our Western Union in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So this created a huge
It did.
variety of problems for a lot of reasons. One, you had to find a Chinese person that you knew and trusted. Two, that person had to spend like their whole lunch, which was like 2 hours, at the bank with you signing papers. So that's the first side. That's the just China side, how hard it was.
Yeah, y'all think it's bureaucratic in America dealing with banks?
No, stamp,
Holy-
stamp,
yeah,
stamp, red stamps.
There's another level of bureaucratic, control on money, and that's what a lot of the world deals with. You know, as Americans, we don't see that.
Yeah, we're privileged.
And I think it helps us not realize the immediate use cases for Bitcoin and some of these new digital, decentralized monetary networks like Bitcoin.
So another part of the problem is that was just the China side. Once it came to America, Nate's mom had to go drive to a not so great area of town.
Yeah.
And because it was the only Western Union that would let her take that much money out. And so it's an unsavory place to get your money out and walk out at night, because that's when she was able to do it. And
that was before we found a great innovation, which was
Yep.
the ABC Bank card, Agricultural Bank of China. That's where we had our bank accounts that the school paid us through. And so what we would do is we found this little cool innovation that someone else at the school found, kind of a hack, which was we just got them to make a second bank card, ATM card for us. What those cards use is what many Chinese banks use. It's called Union Pay. So we looked for that Union Pay logo, and then what we would do is like we gave the second card to my mom. We mailed one, I think. Maybe we gave her one in person.
No, we
it's
mailed
happened
it
a couple times, didn't it?
Yeah,
Because one of
it
the cards
twice.
got shut
Yeah.
down at one point.
Yeah.
Long story short, let's say we had like $3,000 in bills in America. We would remit $3,000. We used to use the Western Union. She'd go to the bad part of town. But when we innovated, we found a way to just put the $3,000 like into our American bank account. But first, we would of course still have to do the transfer. But once it was in our American bank account, at least. Or no, we didn't. We could leave it in our Chinese account.
So
and
what?
She,
No.
She had the ABC Bank
Here's-
card.
let
Bottom
me-
line is, it still took a lot of time.
It took forever.
It took
First
a
of all,
long
we had
time.
to send the card. Then the problem was you can only take out so much ATM money, no matter where you are, no matter what country your card is from. So even though she had that other card, which also the other problem was we had to use the internet in China and the Chinese thumb drive. And Nate spent, 30, 40 minutes just cussing and cursing and just getting mad.
A Google Translate.
And translating it to
I had to use
transfer the money.
I had to use Internet Explorer.
Yeah, it was bad.
Even though their security infrastructure is technically better, they would build like the apps on ABC Bank using Internet Explorer. It was like terrible.
It was a horrible process. Lots of swearing involved in the just getting it. And then Nate's mom would have to take it out.
No longer go to the bad
day
part of town.
after day after
She
day.
could go to the nice ATM, Bank of America ATM. Bank of America is so generous. They would let us take out $800 of our own money every day. We're so lucky. Only $800.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for Bank of America, right?
With a $4 fee.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you have to pay the piper, right? Like, why should you get access to your own money for free? That's crazy. Anyway.
So that was our first example of how this
Until
would
Bitcoin.
be so awesome to use, right?
Yeah. Hey guys, I wanted to add one more detail to our story right here about how we actually used Bitcoin when we were living in China. We lived there from 2011 to 2016 in South China. And really, after I found Bitcoin and made my initial investment, I realized, oh, there's an immediate use case right here. And it's this whole bureaucratic mess of, having to take one of our awesome coworkers, we'd buy them lunch, but it was like 2 hours of their time. Nobody likes doing that, So when we found the Bitcoin way out, everything became awesome. How did I do that? Well, this was prior to when China banned exchanges. We got back from China in July of 2016, but we got into Bitcoin in April of 2013 initially. And the way that we used Bitcoin in China was we connected our ABC bank card to BTCC, which was the biggest Bitcoin exchange in China. When I received my paycheck, which was denominated in CNY, Chinese yuan, which is now illegal as of today, but I ain't in China, so the bank card was linked to that account, and then I would just take my $2,000 or $3,000 I wanted to transfer, buy Bitcoin on BTCC because it was linked right there. So I'd see my paycheck, 24,000 yuan or whatever it was. I'm just throwing out a number, and from that money, boom, 16 Bitcoin, 20 Bitcoin, whatever it was at the time, because Bitcoin was a few $100s. Look at my Coinbase transfers now, and I'm sickened by it. I'm like, I should have just kept one of those transfers. Anyway, I didn't. But I did hodl some, thank God. And, okay, now I got Bitcoin in my BTCC account. All I had to do now was send the Bitcoin to my Coinbase address, which was linked to my Navy Federal Bank account. And to take the money out, well, still had the problem of my mom would generally have to go to an ATM and take the money out of the bank account. Go visit that Bank of America ATM with the $800 a day maximum and do it like 4 days straight. And, and so, hey, that added to my cost too, because I felt guilty about it. So I paid my mom money, and, she's my mom. She's like, I don't need the money. And I'm like, Mom, this is like taking 4 hours out of your week. So I'd throw her, at least $100 every time that she would go for like 4 days, and that still really wasn't fair, not enough given how far she had to drive and stuff. So there's my story about how we used Bitcoin to actually conduct transfers of our money back home. The volatility was an issue sometimes, and we would get a little bit of a change in value, but honestly, the change in value was less than the fees. And I had not a 50-50 chance. Bitcoin was mooning all the time, like all the years I was in China, even through that bear market. So more than half the time I would actually make money on the transaction anyway. And it settled way faster. I mean, we're talking hours versus week, a week or like at the fastest, like 4 or 5 days. So, at least I could get the money to the American system much faster using Bitcoin when we lived in China. Dude, what's going on with Twitter? Next level. We're talking about no fees, no volatility, instantaneous settlement anywhere on Earth. I mean, dude, the revolution is happening right before our eyes, guys. Very exciting. Very exciting. All right. I'll get back to where we were. The other example.
The other example we had was we just bought our house, our first house. We're currently in the garage of it. Mm-hmm. And the problem we had was getting our money for the money down, right? Which we took from Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. But the process was a nightmare. First of all, they wanted to know our assets, and a lot of our assets are in Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So the proving that process for the old archaic system that they currently have in place for buying a house is a nightmare because they don't have any experience at all with cryptocurrency. Mm-hmm. So it was just, hey, can you prove that you have this money? He would send what we have, and they would say, no, can you prove that you have this money? And it's like, here it is in dollar form for you, and it's still not good enough.
Yeah.
So that was the first problem. The second
problem,
they
wouldn't even tell us what constituted proof.
Yeah,
the
they
mortgage
had,
loan
because
company.
they didn't know,
because
they've never dealt with anything like this.
Yeah.
And
I'm like showing them my BlockFi, I'm showing them my Nexo, I'm showing them my Coinbase. I'm like, do you want to see my derivatives positions at this point? Like
it was ridiculous.
And they're accepting what they feel like, and then later it's like, no, we can't. Oh, we got to talk to the underwriters again. There are so many intermediaries involved in a modern real estate transaction, it's not even funny. I work in the mortgage industry, and I can tell you that, like, I would guarantee that on this recent transaction of this house, we at least paid $10,000.
At least.
Why the hell are we paying $10,000 to a bunch of people that brought no value to our transaction whatsoever?
Yeah. So, and the other thing is, in order to get the house, we had to get the money down, which meant taking our Bitcoin, transferring it to our bank account, going to our bank, getting a very large cashier's check, which is like terrifying when you have like an $11,000 cashier's check in your hand, because you're like, what if something happens to this while we're just driving from the bank to...
Every step of the way,
it's
there's
like
a
terrifying.
Troll. Every step of the way, there's a troll. You know, there's a toll booth and a troll, dude. Every step of the way, they're just like...
trying to...
holding us back.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you guys want to move forward in the world? Pay us first.
So that's
the story. That's the story of the 20th century. Pay us first. Pay us first. We want our cut. We want our cut. Well, you know what, guys? We don't have any more cut to give. We're keeping the cut. And that's why I think, you know, what Twitter did is a really powerful thing, because Jack Dorsey realized very simply that you already have this API that exists. It's an open, free, monetary network, the Lightning Network, and it can process, you know, thousands of transactions per second. All that crap and ish talking they saying about, you know, Visa and MasterCard and everybody, Bitcoin can only do 2 to 3 transactions per second. Irrelevant. You guys just don't understand. It's irrelevant. You're looking at 2017 and we're in 2021. So wonder how far you're gonna get it in 2025. I don't think you will. Probably be 6 feet under. But whatever. Moving on. You know, like, I think it's really cool, and it's gonna empower a lot of people, because in El Salvador, Nigeria, I don't care where you want to talk about.
How about someone here
like
that you know that has a small business and has to pay that, what is it, 3% to Visa every time they use Venmo or PayPal or whatever? Each one of those companies has a huge percentage that's substantial that they're taking from small business owners.
Jack Mahler said 290 to 300 basis points on average. That's for a good retailer like Costco. They'll get a rate like preferred rate like that. But who do you think pays it in the end? Do you think Costco pays it in the end? We all pay it in the end. Like, every time we're using our cards, we pay it through the form of higher prices. And, you know, like Costco, it doesn't help them because it affects their bottom line and their profitability. So I think when you take out those fees, some people might argue that some jobs are going to be lost, but they're like freaking useless jobs. That's new jobs where people can actually employ creative energy. And now I can transact with somebody in Venezuela, wherever. I can transact wherever I want. If I see an artist somewhere on earth, I can, and they don't care. This is the powerful thing. Nobody cares about the Bitcoin being transferred. They don't have to know anymore. This is what I've been saying about Bitcoin for years and years and years, is that ultimately Bitcoin will be powerful when people don't even know they're using it. The only thing you're really going to see change on a Bitcoin standard, in my opinion, is like pricing.
Yeah.
People will become more comfortable with the numbers. You'll hear I'm talking about like sats and, you know, the stupid fractional system that we use where 1 Bitcoin is worth $50,000. But they'll learn it because they have to, and it's
but in this case, you're not going to have to, and you don't care. And I mean, to me, it's empowering to like the people that we know that have small businesses. They're not making a lot of money. They are just trying to get by, and they are using systems like Venmo, and they're losing, or the person who's sending the money is losing. I think whenever I use PayPal to send money to a friend that's got a business, or I use Venmo, I'm paying for that. I'm paying like $3 or something like that. And I mean, that doesn't benefit me, and they're not really getting anything out of that either. Instead, we could be doing it for like nothing.
For nothing, absolutely nothing. Like literally nothing.
If you are like wanting to buy a house in the future, wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to spend days of your life going through all this paperwork and this drama for money that you have? You can just boop, done, sent. It's all done. No more of this like forever long process for money transfer.
Yeah, you can pay for coffee in El Salvador using Twitter now. I mean, and Bitcoin, but you don't even know if you're using Bitcoin. Like, my point is that Bitcoin is being used to make it free behind the scenes in the software. And what Jack Mallers is saying that's so powerful about this technology is that because it's using Lightning Network, the Lightning Network itself can transfer US dollars. It can transfer anything, and it doesn't matter. It's invisible to the end users. So, like, if I'm dealing with somebody in Japan, if I got my friends in China that I want to shoot some money to,
or any of our friends that live all over
in the United States as well. Bottom line is now I can just send them that money without worrying about the fees, without worrying about just like being told whether or not I can send money to other humans, because I'm a human too. So shouldn't
Well,
we be able
and-
to send money to humans?
And with the speed of the internet, this should have been something that I feel has been like this is something that should have been done forever ago, because we do everything through the internet now. So it's like, why are we having this backwards monetary system?
I remember what I was going to say too, and why it's so backwards is because like people don't realize that you would think, okay, if I live in a country where there's more prosperity, that would mean that the fees will probably be higher for sending a remittance. What is a remittance? A remittance is when you send money from one country to another. And in the United States, we don't care so much about remittances because most people here aren't receiving them. But you do care about remittances if you're sending money back to your home country, or if you're an immigrant and your family's still in their home country, and that's a country that is living with a lower standard of living. So in cases like that, it actually is not how you'd expect. They pay way more in fees than we do. Way more. And you can actually see an inversely proportional relationship between like the more poverty, the more corruption, like if you're in a war zone, all these factors mean that there are fewer payment processors in a country. Okay, Western Union doesn't even touch some like of the bad areas. You got to like in parts of South Africa, Zimbabwe, I remember reading, these guys will pay sometimes upwards of 30-40% like in remittance payments.
That's so
just
ridiculous.
to send money, send and receive money. So for the privilege of your family member who had to leave your poor country to go work abroad to make money so you guys can raise your standard of living for the whole family, that sacrifice, like someone's taken part of it for you, like just because they already have money and they have already established
an
networks
infrastructure.
and they have infrastructure. And it's just
Period.
another case of like the rich taking from the poor, in my opinion. So we're trying to flip that. This is flipping it. And it's awesome.
It is. All right, guys, thanks.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Peace.